Hello and welcome to 3Q. Today I'm talking with Kris Jones of Tech Velocity. Hi Kris, thanks very much for appearing on the programme. How are you?
No problem, David.
Okay, the first question is, how do you think the pandemic's affected the UK venture capital sector?
It's a couple of ways. I think some of them did the thing of retreating into their shell during the early months, just waiting to see what happened, and most of them went into survival mode, trying to shore up their existing investments. I think what's happened since is that a few of them now are coming back, blinking into the light and thinking, right, we do need to invest in new things and not just shore up the investments. They're starting to get a bit more proactive. I think we're also seeing the advent of some new VCs that are coming out of the woodwork where they're kind of fed up with the traditional way of things that have happened within the VC market, and they're actually looking to do things a bit differently and take a chance, because there's a few people within some of these VCs that have provided money into some of those VCs that weren't happy, that they retreated into that shell and saw that they missed out on a raft of opportunities because the VC they were back in didn't front up or start to look for more deal flow during a downturn, when, as we know, some of the greatest ideas and greatest companies have come out of downturns.
Yeah, that's right. And what investment strategies would you recommend VCs took going forward as we emerge from the lockdown?
When you say strategy, do you mean by sector, or do you mean behaviourally?
Behaviourally, I'd like to focus on, please.
I think behaviourally, you'd hope that they've learned from this that those opportunities still exist. A good startup is still a good startup, and a good scale-up is still a good scale-up. I mean, opportunities are opportunities. I think what they need to do is not just shore up some pretty dead stuff, but actually make the effort to go out and deploy some of those funds and take some risks with some of those companies that are actually out there. So behaviorally going forward, I think when they're looking to also gain some of these funds and build some of these funds, maybe categorize them differently and build stuff into pots that build contingencies that say, right, well, if something like this happens, this amount is allocated for that. That amount is allocated for proactive stuff. So some money to shore up and some money to be proactive with. And I think that's something they can agree at the outset with some of the people who actually deploy funds in there, either at an institutional, personal or group level. I think they can say, you know, if something like this happens, what do you want us to do with those funds? Do you want to shore everything up and batten down the hatches? Or would you like us to deploy an element of those funds elsewhere to make sure that we're still getting money through the door and getting some great stuff onto our portfolio?
Very good. And how do you think UK tech can help the economy bounce back?
So many levels, and this is why it annoys me that it was so chronically ignored and the bar set so high with things like the Future Fund. Is tech and its founders, I think, are the way forward, full stop. I think if anybody's going to see us through an economic downturn and hire through it, it's tech. It takes less time to deploy. The skills for it are already readily available. They're more likely to hire people on attitude over aptitude and train them to be good. So I think that the tech sector has, on so many levels, the ability to hire lots of people. Most of those companies are going to be ethical, as are the founders. They tend to think differently to large corporates, and they're more likely to add money to UK PLC's GDP quicker than most of the other sectors.
Kris, that's some very interesting views there. Well, thank you very much for appearing on 3Q. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much indeed.
Likewise. Thank you, David.